no, I'll do the class now. I'll do it later.
Good morning, everybody. How everyone is doing today? Hi, Katri.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good. Good to see you. It's been a few days.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
Awesome. Welcome to the class.
Thank
And
you.
you're welcome. Where are you reaching us from today?
I'm in Los Angeles,
Wonderful.
in the Valley area.
Awesome. You having fun out there?
Yeah, just came back. We did this road trip for a week and a half and came back on Sunday.
Oh, nice. Road trips are fun and awesome. I got a couple of messages from you regarding those parties.
Yeah, I know.
Are they good?
Yeah, well, one of the good ones, actually the road trip was mostly not partying. We like did other things mostly, but Saturday there was the Mayan Warrior event in San Francisco. That was good.
Oh my goodness. My favorite city in the world. And my favorite art car in the world.
Yeah, you should see them. They're around. How have you been yourself?
I've been good. I've been teaching lots of these classes.
Yeah.
There was a class with 15 business women last week.
Okay.
Did I send you the link to that?
No, not for that one.
Okay.
Oh, I don't remember at least. Maybe you did, but I didn't see it.
I'll send it to you right now to your WhatsApp.
Okay.
It was amazing. It's something that it's a good reminder when there's 15 people releasing negative emotions and limiting beliefs. What I found is during the class, a lot of people said, hey, I have something similar, or mine is way different. And just in comparisons, as humans, we like to compare. So this would be a good class because there's 15 different people
Right.
that you can compare yourself to and go, oh, okay, yeah, I need to be where she is, or I am way ahead of her.
Yeah, I guess it gives like a different perspective, and it can also feel like releasing that you see that other people struggle with the same issues, and it doesn't kind of feel so bad, or you feel kind of more. It feels more normal that you have some issues, and then you can like just work on them. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So let me get the link for you. Then open WhatsApp. How's the family?
The family, you mean the guys I've been hanging here with?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's better. And I just think that I figured out something major on during this road trip. Yeah, there was a little bit of struggling, but then on Friday I think I just figured something out, and then I just made one decision, and I feel way more clear and in peace now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I kind of Perry managed to open me. I think I finally see my own behavior from the other perspective and how it feels for the other people, which I wasn't able to see before. And once I realized that, I just decided that I don't want to do it anymore. It's kind of, I finally decided that it's enough. I just like, this is enough. And then I decided to become finally adult and not act as a 3-year-old or a teenager. because it's not useful for me myself, apparently. Yeah. So yeah, that's been
Wow.
good. Yeah, it turned to be good.
That's amazing.
Mm.
Wow, wow, wow. Congrats. And how does that feel?
Yeah, it feels very good, and like it feels uh like sometimes I feel now like that I'm like accepting something that isn't perfect or isn't the most fun thing, but I feel way better because I know it's like I feel fine with accepting that, because I don't like some of that like kind of illusion FOMO thing just disappeared. And it's like I'm not actually missing anything, because if I'm like living in a way that other people can also be happy, and I'm thinking more about the other people than myself, and everybody's going to be happier, and I'm also going to be happier, you know, like I kind of see that part now. That's yeah, it feels good.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think the session we did 3 weeks ago, it was helping there, you know, like with a little bit of delay. Yeah.
You did a little bit of delay and took it a little bit of time to integrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Well, we can go deeper today, and yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, and also the other thing I just registered, I wrote that I want to release anger, but maybe after having read the book of the first book, there was like this, I don't remember in which order the emotions were, but I really do think my anger isn't anger, it's fear. And I think the fear has to be released actually. Then if I don't have the fear, I don't need to be angry now that I think of it. But I don't know if it makes any difference. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it will go with your unconscious mind. So whatever your unconscious mind tells you, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So you want to release fear today?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing I really want to release. Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna release fear. Okay, we're gonna do. Okay, so let's start with or continue with a meditation. We meditate for about 5 to 10 minutes. The reason why we meditate is so that the conscious mind goes to sleep,
Mm.
and the unconscious mind can be in charge. The conscious mind can process, can work, can facilitate 100 bits of information per second.
Mm.
In contrast, the unconscious mind can facilitate, process, work with 11 million
Wow,
bits of information per second.
that's a lot.
Yeah. Even dogs know it. When they bark, they're saying, yeah, work with the unconscious mind, because that's the superpower. And that's what they are so in tune.
Mm.
They are so in tune because they don't have the conscious mind that we have.
Right.
They're all gut feeling.
Yeah, true.
That's why people love dogs, because dogs are the best friends in the world. Unconditional love.
Mm.
Um,
And very authentic. Like
yeah,
they are just exactly what they are. Yeah.
yeah, very, very authentic. So there's
Mm.
something for us to learn about the unconscious mind, and also animals. That
Mm.
animals are living in the now.
Mm.
They don't have to release negative emotions because they're not keeping track of negative emotions.
Yeah.
Um, let's get into meditation. So let's meditate for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Mm.
And so go ahead and let's close our eyes and take 4 deep breaths together. And when we exhale, we're going to exhale ha. Let's take the 4 deep breaths together. Inhale. One more. Excellent. Continue breathing normally. If you have a mantra or a prayer, you may begin now. If you don't, focus on the air around your face, your hands, your skin, and ultimately focus on the air coming in through your nose and out through your nose. Decide what your intention for this session is. And between focusing on your breath and focusing on the intention, we'll meditate for a few minutes. Allow your body to completely relax, whether it's your feet, your toes, your neck, your jaw, your shoulders. Adjust your body so that it's completely relaxed, allowing the conscious mind to go to sleep and the unconscious mind to stay wide awake. Allow the supercomputer to come forward and the mini computer to completely relax. Allow one of the corners of your mouth to raise just a little bit. And continue meditating. And if the other corner of your mouth wants to raise or rise just a little bit, simply allow it to do so and continue the meditation. We're now going to start a forgiveness exercise. In this forgiveness exercise, you're going to heal yourself and you're going to heal the memory of someone that you need to forgive. Go ahead and imagine a powerful light coming from up above. This light has loving and healing powers, and that light streams down on your head, completely healing your head, down your spine, your chest, your belly, your lower back, your hips, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your feet, completely healing you. Allow also a powerful light coming from the center of the earth to shoot up through the earth into your feet, also healing your feet, your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your belly, your lower back, your upper back, your chest, your neck, your head, and allow both of those sources of light, healing, energy to heal you completely. Allow any changes to take place at the neurological level. And now, I invite you to bring up the picture of the memory of the person you want to forgive. It can be you, another version of you, a past version of you, or it can be someone else. It can be someone you interacted with this morning, yesterday, last week, or a long time ago. Invite that picture of the memory of that person. If it was you, if it is you that you're forgiving, that past version of you. If it is someone else, bring that picture of the memory to your mind's eye. Get a little close to it. Notice the picture is a little fuzzy. Notice the picture is not that focused. Notice the picture is a little even black and white. Now I'd like for you to double the energies coming from up above and from the center of the earth into you, into your body. And as those energies meet in your heart chakra, allow the flow of energy to shoot out from your heart right into the memory, the picture of the memory of that person, and completely heal that memory. And notice the picture turning brighter, colorful, focused. Now double the energy coming from up above and from the center of the earth onto you, allowing double the energy to shoot out from your heart chakra onto that picture, onto that representation of the person you're forgiving, completely healing them. Notice what happens to that representation. Notice what happens to you. Now, get closer to that representation, get closer to that picture, and completely walk into that picture and become that picture. So their face becomes your face, their body becomes your body. and realize that all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. You have forgiven your judgment, your projection, your filter of that person. And whenever you forgive someone else or yourself, it's a gift you give to you. Ask your unconscious mind, what is there to learn from that event? The learning of which will allow the lesson to be most impactful, so that whatever that happened that day, in that occasion, in that situation, was the last time. It was the last time. What is there to learn from that event? The lesson may come now, or it may come later. Ask your unconscious mind to preserve the learnings. As you forgive, you preserve the learnings, so that if you need the learnings in the future, they'll be there. Excellent. Now, ask your unconscious mind, are there any boundaries that I need to exercise from now on because of this lesson? If the answer is yes, go ahead and ask your unconscious mind, what are the boundaries? What are the healthy boundaries I need to exercise for my highest good and for the highest good of others? If something like that situation would happen again in the future, what do you do instead? Excellent. We're going to take 4 deep breaths to come out of meditation and of this exercise. Tell your unconscious mind to allow any changes to take place at the neurological level. Let's go ahead and take 4 deep breaths. Inhale and exhale, ha. One more. Excellent. Continue breathing normally. Move your feet, your toes, move your fingers, Move your shoulders, do a little shimmy, move your head side to side, back and forth. Come back to now, come back into the room. Start opening your eyes slowly and come back into the room when you're ready. How you doing?
Very good, thanks. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was a very good one. I got to learn a big lesson from that from the person I forgive, or the representation of the person I forgive, which is basically myself.
Mm.
Now I have a new boundary to respect and to
Yeah,
exercise. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
yeah. I
What did
was
you
about to
forgive?
ask that. You do it every time yourself as well, right?
Oh yes, that's why I have these classes.
Yeah, it's good.
Who did you forgive?
I forgave my mom, and then it's interesting how you put it that I turned into her, and while I was doing it, it was the continuation of what I just told, that I suddenly realized that I was angry at her without ever thinking or realizing her perspective, or why would she feel like that, and maybe I had something to do with myself, Yeah, that's like, now it's surprising that I never thought about it. So it was more about other people's boundaries, but then also my boundaries of like more better communicating my own needs.
Wow.
Mm.
My goodness. That's wonderful. Better communicating my own needs.
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of hard for people to realize my needs if I don't properly communicate them. Yeah,
Yeah,
and there's nobody else that can help that, even though sometimes I think people should just know it, but they can't know.
they can't know. You're right.
Yeah,
Wonderful. Shall we release? Is there anything you'd like to release today?
I mean, yeah, it's still the fear. I think the fear
Okay.
is causing my other negative emotions mostly.
Okay. How will you know when fear is released? What happens when fear is released? How will you know that it has released?
Like, at least, like, I don't think I'm not never ever get afraid anymore, but I will know it's because it won't cause that super fast reaction that I get, like angry at people. Like I start like this kind of defense mechanism of like getting angry at other people when I was actually afraid and not angry. So that reaction won't happen anymore because the fear will kind of release its power in me. Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. So that's how you know. You won't have the super fast reaction.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes and think of that problem. Think of that fear.
Mm.
I'm going to ask you 8 questions, and you are to ponder, feel, hear, think of the words. This is an unconscious problem. Since there are questions, the conscious mind will try to answer.
Mm.
That's not the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise is for you to listen, hear, feel, think of the questions. So go ahead and think of that problem, of that fear. What's wrong?
Am I supposed to answer or just think about it?
This exercise, you will think, you feel, you hear, you ponder on the questions. It's an unconscious exercise. The conscious mind will try to answer, and that's not the goal.
Mm.
So go ahead and think of the fear. What's wrong? What caused this problem? How have you failed to resolve this? How can you overcome the solution to your problem? What would you like to change? When will you stop it from being a limitation? How many ways do you know you have solved this? I know you're changing and seeing things differently. Come back to now. Tell me about that old problem.
With the conscious mind now. Yeah, it's like a fear of not being perfect or not. Well, it's kind of the same that we talked last time, that not being good enough, and then kind of giving up of trying because of like strong fear of that I'm not gonna like succeed anyways, and then I stop trying. And also anytime that something makes me think that or feel that it's the same situation, that I'm not succeeding, I'm not perfect, I didn't do it right, so it's the same fear, then the reaction. Yeah,
Which one's greater, fear or not good enough?
I think this time is the fear, because the fear kind of comes in between,
Yeah.
and then it kind of confuses everything. It kind of, and then it's like paralyzes. me of doing what I could do to overcome the feeling of not being enough. So the fear is kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Is it all right with your unconscious mind for you to release fear today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yes.
What is the root cause of the fear? The first event, which when disconnected, will cause the fear to disappear. If you were to know, was it before, during, or after your birth? Close
This
your eyes.
one event in the kindergarten has come to my mind. No,
Close your eyes.
earlier when I was only,
Close your eyes.
yeah, I must have been like 3 years old or something.
Okay. Excellent. 3 years old. Just float above your timeline into the past and down into the event.
Mm.
Looking through your own eyes. And when you're there, notice the emotion that's present. Look around. You may either see things, feel things, hear things. Now, do you notice the emotion that's present in the root cause?
Yeah,
Okay. What is the emotion?
like disappointments, like self-disappointment and disappointment by the others.
Disappointment.
Like shame, is it the same thing than shame, being shamed, disappointment?
Disappointment, shame. Ask your unconscious mind if this is the earliest event. The unconscious mind, is this the earliest event? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wonderful. I'd like for you to float up above your timeline.
Mm.
So the root cause is right under you. And now start floating to a position towards the past. Start heading towards the past to a position well before the beginning of the event or any of the events that led to that event.
Mm.
So float towards the past so that you are above your timeline at a position before the root cause ever happened. Turn and look toward now so that the root cause is below you and in front of you. Ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event. The learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly.
Mm.
Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. Now float higher and farther back. Float higher and farther back until the emotions completely release. Right now.
Mm.
Keep floating higher and farther back, allowing the emotions to completely release. Now, where's the emotion? Where did it go?
Why it never happened yet, so it's kind of number.
That's right. That's right. Just flow down into the event. So you're seeing through your own eyes and notice that the emotion is gone. Is the emotion completely gone?
No,
No,
not yet.
not yet. Ask your unconscious mind, is this time a good time for my highest good to release this emotion? Yes or no?
Yes, but I feel like I want to cry because it's like I feel sad of what happened. But I don't
Excellent.
feel it that strong, that emotion, but now I feel sad.
Excellent. Ask your unconscious mind if today's a good day to release sadness.
Yes.
Excellent. So we're going to complete the exercise for fear, and then we're going to return and do the exercise for sadness. So I'd like for you to float up above your timeline, go back to that position in the past, turn and look toward now, and start coming back to now only as quickly as you can allow all of the fear on the events all the way back to now to release. Preserve the learnings. And just like the domino effect, when you hit one domino and it starts knocking down all of the subsequent dominoes, just like that, all subsequent events of fear will release as you start floating back to now. So float back to now, allowing the domino effect, because you release the fear, the root cause will release all subsequent connections to the root cause, allowing all subsequent fear events to release. Preserve the learnings and come back to now and come back into the room when you're ready. And then we'll do sadness.
Yeah.
Now let's do you smell popcorn?
Do you smell popcorn?
Yeah, do you smell it?
No, but I
No.
don't have very good smelling ability.
Okay. All right. I just had to ask. I have to ask a question to break state. So you
Oh,
get,
I see.
yeah. Let's test. Can you remember any event in the past where you used to be able to feel that old emotion? Can you remember any event in the past where you used to feel that old emotion? And go back and notice if you can feel it, or you may find that you cannot. So try that. Can you remember any event in the past where you used to be able to feel that old emotion, and go back and notice if you can feel it, or you may find that you cannot.
I kind of recognize that I felt it and like why, but it doesn't feel the same anymore. Now it feels like if I was in that moment, I could just let it go and do a different action that would lead to different results.
Wonderful. Now, I want you to go out into the future. Okay? So float up above your timeline and go into the future to any time. Any time that'll be appropriate. So go to any unspecified time in the future, which if the old emotion had happened in the past, you would have felt inappropriate or unwarranted fear. And notice if you can find that old emotion, or you may find that you cannot.
I feel that I may find a small moment, but I feel that I will recognize it and I'll be able to not let it take me.
Yeah. There is warranted fear There's appropriate fear, and what we just released was the inappropriate or unwarranted fear. Good. Come back to now. You ready to release sadness?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go right into it. Is it all right with your unconscious mind for you to be free of sadness today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yes.
What is the root cause of this problem? The first event, which when disconnected will cause sadness to disappear. If you were to know, was it before, during, or after your birth? First thing comes to mind? Gut feeling. First thing comes to mind. Before, during, or after your birth?
Before.
Before, in the womb or before?
Before.
Was it past life or passed down to you genealogically?
Like my parents, that way.
Okay. It was your parents. So passed down to you genealogically?
Yeah.
Excellent. How many generations ago?
Just one.
Just one. Excellent.
But I feel it's two of them. Can it be two?
Yeah. Yes, totally. Ask your unconscious mind, is this the first event? Is this the root cause? Is there an earlier event?
No, it's the first, but there's two with two different people.
Yeah. Excellent. Wonderful. And it's one event?
It's not the same event. Do I need to select one?
Yeah, go to the earliest. Go to the first one. Ask your unconscious mind, which of the two is the earliest? First thing that comes to mind.
Okay. Yeah.
How many generations ago?
One.
Excellent. Just float up above your timeline into the past, towards the event, and down into the event, looking through your own eyes. When you're there, notice the emotion. Notice the emotion that's present. Now, float up above your timeline. Look towards the past. Start floating towards the past to a position well before the beginning of the event or any of the events that led to that event. So you are before the event ever happened. And turn and look toward now. Ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event. The learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. Now float higher and farther back, allowing the sadness to completely release right now. Keep floating higher and further back, allowing the emotions to completely release. Keep floating higher and further back, allowing the emotion to completely release. Now, Where's the emotion? Where did it go?
It's there, but it's not multiplied as it used to be. It's not, it narrowed down to my own reasonable emotion instead of feeling everybody else's pain and feeling responsible of that.
Wonderful. Just float right down into the event and notice if the emotion's there. Is the emotion there, or has it disappeared?
It's gone.
It's gone. Excellent. Good. Now float up above your timeline, head towards the past, to the same position where you were before the event ever happened. Turn and look toward now. And like a domino effect, start floating towards now, allowing all subsequent events of sadness to release. Preserve the learnings. Like a domino effect, start floating towards now, allowing all subsequent events of sadness to release. Preserve the learnings. Float all the way back to now. Releasing all the sadness on all subsequent events, easily and effortlessly, preserving the learnings all the way back to now. And come back to now and back into the room when you're ready, knowing that if you need the learnings in the future, they'll be there. Excellent. Do you smell popcorn?
No, but I want to start smelling it because you keep talking about it.
Me too. Let's have some popcorn for breakfast.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's test. Can you remember any event in the past where you used to be able to feel that old emotion? And go back and notice if you can feel it. Or you may find that you cannot. Can you remember any event in the past?
Yeah. It's more turning to, I think, what they call regular empathy, and not like I used to feel sad for other people and then not be good for myself because of that. Now it's more like recognizing the other people are sad, but it's not on my shoulders anymore.
Wonderful. Not on your shoulders anymore, regular empathy. Now, I want you to go out into the future, float up above your timeline, and go to a place in the future, to any time in the future, which if it had happened in the past, that old emotion, you would have felt inappropriate or unwarranted sadness. And notice if you can find that old emotion, or you may find that you cannot.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be like that anymore. It's not the same.
Excellent. Come back to now. It was a big one, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it's also exactly as it's said in the book, that you may kind of figure out that even though I really thought this fear was the one, but like it turned to be the other one.
Yeah.
Kind of the original one. It's interesting.
Yeah. Cool. So this concludes the Release Negative Emotions class. You have successfully concluded. You get an A+.
Do I get a stamp?
Yes.
Yeah.
You get here, I'm gonna give you a stamp.
Yeah. Even though I should. Yeah. Thanks. And that's a good one because I had a fear that I'm not going to be successful. No, I won't. Yeah.
That you were not gonna be successful at releasing the fear.
No, I don't fear that I'm with anything. I always
Uh,
fear that I'm not successful, and then it's like, but like it's kind of funny that you get A plus because then getting the A pluses was the only release for me earlier. But now after this exercise, even if you gave me something minus, it would have been fine. Or should have been fine.
That's wonderful. Ah, that's so good. Cool. If um if anyone, if you're telling anyone about this class, how would you explain this class to them?
This class is like kind of already getting prepared to this, and like if you consider reading the book is like very useful, but this class still opens it's like so much deeper. That's like even for me, even after reading that what can happen, I still wouldn't have been able to realize that it can go this way. I really didn't know that I had such a strong sadness and like the type of it. So yeah, it's amazing that how it kind of goes layer by layer. Yeah.
Yeah, layer by layer. You're
Yeah.
right. And
But, mm,
if someone is thinking about coming to this class and they feel like I'm not sure if I should do it, what will you tell that person?
I would tell that you're really stupid if you don't do it. Like if you can have 1 hour or even a few hours, including the preparation, that will help you this much. Like I would hope people are not stupid enough not to do it because it feels so much better, and I know that like it's gonna be so much better.
Wow,
Like yeah.
wonderful. And how are you before the class and how are you now?
Uh, I was more concerned about things, and now I feel more, what's the word, trustful that everything will be all right.
Wow.
Yeah. And also, like, even if there will be things that in my earlier thinking I would have interpreted as unsuccess and then like felt all the feelings, now I feel that it's gonna just feel that, okay, sometimes things don't go exactly as I wished for or assumed for, but also like the kind of stronger feeling that's maybe there's also for a reason, like then there's the next step and then things lead to something, that not everything has to be perfect all the time.
Wow.
Mm,
Wonderful.
mm,
Cool.
mm.
Awesome. Let's play some music, get the body moving. It's good after this type of work to move the body. So here's some music coming our way.
Okay.
And this is about a 3-minute song. Feel free to close Zoom whenever you want. Class is dismissed. Class is complete.
Okay, so you mean to leave whenever I want?
Yeah. You're welcome. Goodbye. Goodbye,
Bye.
everybody. Have a great day. Bye.